Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7 out today. Want to talk to you guys about the Craft Your Best Gear event. Now, as you can see here, I actually haven't selected the piece of gear that I want to craft, and that's because I wanted to talk to you guys about this. I know a lot of people around this time have questions about, hey, what types of gear should I get, what set, what substat should I be going for. And this time around, Smilegate has actually provided us with a cool new feature here where you get to see what the most popular combinations are for each piece, right? So you can see for honestly all three of these pieces, they're going to be speed sets, right? Their main stats are all static. So for left side gear, like weapons, helmets, and chest pieces, none of those things can change. It is the substats though that will change. So when it comes to substats, most people are just going to go for speedy DPS pieces, and I have done it before myself. I'll show you guys the 4 pieces I've crafted from these events in the past, right? This is only the 3rd time they've really brought it back, and I hope they do more of these in the future. But for the weapons, attack, speed, crit rate, crit damage, same thing with the helmet here, and the chest piece, because you can't roll attack percent on chest piece, a lot of people opt to go for HP instead. HP is a really safe stat to have because a lot of bruisers are HP scaling units, so their damage scales with HP. Think Empyrean Ilana, for example, as a unit that does that. So HP is a very safe bet. You could go defense, but HP is a little bit more versatile, and it's just a stronger stat right now in RTA because of all the defense penetration units that are around. But when it comes to these pieces, yeah, those are mainly what you're going to be going for, and it's what I would honestly recommend as well, unless you're trying to really specialize and finish a build of a certain unit. Maybe it's one of your favorite units, maybe it's a unit you've been working on for a very long time, you just cannot get that one specific piece of gear, then go for it. Definitely finish builds off. That is what this event is meant for, in my opinion. But if you really don't know what to do, investing in a speedy DPS build is probably very safe, right? And I'll show you guys some of the pieces that I've had before. Now, these pieces of gear that you get are actually gonna end up very likely gonna be your best pieces that you have in terms of quality. They're pretty much just perfect pieces of gear, max rolls, right? And so I'll show you here. I'm going to sort my gear by equipment score. Now, previously, I have redeemed a weapon. You can see it is my 3rd highest equipment score weapon here. And this is what I got. It's currently on Veronica. So I rolled speed. Maximum number of times is 3 rolls into 1 stat. So I rolled speed 3 times. And then the rest of my 2 rolls I rolled into critical hit chance. So this is what the piece ended up being. I chose attack and crit damage as my other 2 stats. They're going to obviously come as max rolls as well, but 17 speed with 16 crit rate is absolutely insane, because the crit rate that you get here, you obviously want to maximize speed for versatile speed DPS builds, but the crit rate you get here helps you a ton. Max crit rolls here, like 16 crit right here, this is equal to like max rolling 2 crit rate rolls on top of a already max roll or near max roll starting roll, right? This is insane to get, and the crit rate definitely helps you out a lot. There's so many builds that you guys have probably run into, right? Where you're trying to build a character and, oh, I get my crit up, it's 96%. I really want that 100% crit rate. I gotta lower my speed or lower my attack or crit damage to get that crit rate to 100% for consistency. This really helps mitigate that quite a bit. If I go over to my helmets, you see the 2nd highest helmet in terms of equipment score here is the same thing. I maxed out at speed, 3 rolls into speed is the max you can do, and then 2 rolls into crit rate here. So it is really, really good. It starts with 6% crit. You can roll 5 and 5 into the crit rate. That's how you get 16%. Absolutely amazing. As you can see, it's on my Veronica as well. I'll show you my Veronica build, actually, if I can go ahead and bring her up for you guys, because her gear is actually what's allowing her to be pretty viable for me, and I've been using her in draft, right? Now, obviously, I don't have her. Ignore the fact that I don't have imprints on her. But yeah, just these 2 pieces alone, 17 speed with 17 speed with 16 crit rate each, that is 32% crit rate. It's huge. It allows you to go for pieces that have less crit rate rolls, right? So for example, like all these pieces here, you could go for less crit rate rolls and still have her function. Now, this Veronica is a good example of a unit that's hard to build at 100% crit rate, because as you can see here, she starts with no crit imprint. She's has gained 85% crit rate. Her base crit is 15%. So it's really hard to get the crit rate rolls on her. She doesn't have an EE or anything like that boosting her crit rate stats. None of her passives or anything here gain extra crit rate, so it's really difficult to build a unit like this. That's why it helps out a ton. Now, with that said, do you always have to go for speedy damage pieces? And the answer is no. You guys know I lack HP percent main stat pieces, so when I go over to my equipment score, still sorted by equipment score, my third highest equipment score piece is this necklace on my DDR. So HP percent main stat, what I did was I rolled speed 3 times, and then I did the other 2 rolls into defense. I went for an effectiveness and effect res together because I don't know if I want to use this on a high resist unit or a high effectiveness unit. And I'm not going to mod out either of these stats. Like, it's a waste to go in and modify any of these out, right? I don't want to min-max and optimize that much because this is such a versatile piece. It can go on anybody. If I don't want it on DDR, for example, I can slap this on a high effect res user and they'll still be fine. That 9 effect res, yeah, it's a little bit of a wasted stat, but with so much optimization, defense, and speed here, you can opt to go for pretty quick builds, right? It's one of the reasons why my DDR actually ended up being a 260 speed build. He's not currently right here, but that's because I did swap a chess piece when I built my ML Lua. She actually took the chess piece here. It had 22 speed here. So yeah, this is what my DDR used to be in the previous seasons. All the times I've used DDR with a Tywin 2 metas ago, right? This was the DDR build I went for, and it would never be possible without this. Because, and I'll show you right here, if I go to my necklaces and I sort by speed, I go to HP percent main stat, and look at that, DDR's piece is the fastest HP percent necklace I have. Archdemons is one of the ones I bought from a pack, I believe, the ones where they sell 17 speed pieces there. And look at this. This is a terrible, just 17 speeder, a lot of bulk in here, good for Laia, but, not the most optimized piece, 86 gear score, not great. Then it drops down dramatically, 15 speed on a Dragon Bride Senya. Then we get on a 14 speed on Researcher Carrot. So as you can see, my HP percent main stat necklaces were very lacking. And that's one of the reasons why I went for this necklace. What I'm trying to say here is that you guys should look at your gear and see what you're currently missing, right? If you're really lacking in, let's say, DPS necklaces, you're like, hey, my fastest crit damage necklace here, it is super slow, and I just can't get the optimal crit rate. Like, for example, I can show you guys my fastest the crit damage necklace. It's going to be this one. It's not a terrible piece. It's 21 speed, right? It's pretty good. But you can see the crit rate, the attack percent, they're not optimized, they're not great. You have a flat defense roll that's in there. It's fine. It's a purple piece. It's good. Next piece here immediately drops off. Look, the second fastest crit damage piece I have is a 17 speeder. With 8% attack and 5% crit rate. If you crafted this with the crafting event, you can get 17 speed here, right? You can get this here. You can get the 17 speed. You get 9% attack as just a starting roll without getting any other rolls into it. And you can get 11% more crit rate than this. So by just using the crafting event, I would honestly have an absolutely insane necklace that can be used on so many different DPS units, right? You can use it on, if you're playing fast and aggressive, you can use it on your DPSs, like ML Lycas, Ron. You can have fast speed contesting units. You can put it on something like Midnight Gala Lilius. In fact, if you put on Midnight God Lilius, you don't need crit rate. You can actually go for very specific types of gear too. You can go for a bunch of speed. Because Gala doesn't need crit, you don't have to put crit on there. I'd probably still recommend it to keep the piece versatile, but you can just stack a bunch of attack rolls. You can have that 6% crit starting roll, and then you can go flat attack and attack percent. Just load up that attack percent, right? You would end up having, what was it with DDR? 24%, right? So you'd have 24% attack right here, along with 17 speed. It's going to be an absolutely nutty piece for a unit that guarantees crit like Midnight God Lilius. So look at your account carefully and see what you're lacking. Now, when it comes to specialized gear, I've actually used this event to specialize pieces of gear. Some of you guys have pointed out that my Spirit Eye Celine looks pretty insane. The damage and the speed don't look too impressive until you realize she is on a lifesteal and a penetration set, not a crit set, right? So I don't get any free stats from the set bonuses. No speed set, no crit set. So one of the reasons why I was able to make this happen is because of this piece, the ring, which also happens to be, now, because it was a specialized piece, it's not going to be as high of an equipment score, but it's still in my first row here in my rings. So looking at it here, look at that. It's an attack percent main ring. I crafted it specifically for Spirit Eye Celine. 17 speed, right? 3 rolls into speed here, 2 rolls into crit rate. Chose crit damage, and I chose flat attack. It's optimized for Spirit Eye Celine. She doesn't need HP or defense because of how she operates. So this is what I went with. And honestly, the equipment score, still fantastic despite the flat attack stat. If in the future I really don't want the flat attack stat, I can mod it out, right? You can modify it out for, let's say, HP percent. You get 8% HP. Still fantastic. And if you ever want to change it back, you're only missing, what, 6 attack, right, for the flat stats. So it's not bad. Okay, so with pieces like this, I would recommend, if you really know what you're doing, you just really love a character. I really love Spirit Eye Celine. I had to give her some of the best pieces I have. So yeah, this really helped to optimize her build, especially her crit rate, because it's hard to build her up without an EE giving her additional crit or attack or anything like that. It's kind of hard to balance her stats out, and I'm already at max imprint with her as well. So yeah, this was definitely very good. If I look at the other pieces, look, I had to mod in 8% there. Here, it was already 19% crit rate on the boots, but the rolls weren't that great overall. With the chest piece, this was a really good chest piece. Honestly, could use a bit more speed on this too. We had a wasted roll into the HP stat over here. This piece I can never optimize. This is specifically for Spirit Eye Celine. And then the weapon. The weapon's not that great, right? Could definitely roll better into speed. Could probably use some crit rate. Honestly, if I got some crit rate here, I can probably drop the crit rate here and go for a necklace with even more speed on it. But you see how, you know, analyzing your characters and the pieces that you want can really help you pick the piece of gear that you're going to need. Now, if you don't know what you want, if you absolutely don't know, you're just like, too much. I just can't. Again, my recommendation is to go in here, pick a speed set. Right, if you really don't know what you want, go for a speed set, very safe. Destruction set is also a fantastic set that's really good on damage dealers right now. And if you need a really specific piece, if you're just like, hey, I'm really lacking in some, support immunity gear, go for that, right? Immunities gear is pretty good, counter gear is pretty decent, and I would say, yeah, that's pretty much about it. If you want like penetration or torrent sets, those are also really good. 2-piece sets are really good to get from this event because you can get like a torrent weapon, for example, and then a torrent necklace, and boom, you got a really nice complete torrent set ready to use on any DPS units. You can swap them out all the time. Same with penetration, right? But speed and destruction, really good to go for just general applications. If you're a slower player, you're like, I don't really care about the speed all that much. Immunity is a pretty good set to go for, and perhaps sometimes, like, I guess you can complete sets here with like injury or protection set, or even if you want another 2-set piece, HP set is a really strong set right now too for slower players. Even then though, I'd say speed set is the way to go. Go for one of these things right here. Max out on the speed rolls with 3 substats, and then the crit rate, go for 2 substat rolls. When it comes to the part 2, when you're crafting part 2 here, it's not going to let us preview it or anything. But that's when you can craft the right side gear. So that is going to be the rings, the necklaces, and the boots. Honestly, again, recommend you go for the speed route, even if it's a, not a damage unit, not a crit damage necklace or anything, it's fine. Go for the HP percent mains, more versatile than defense percent mains, and maximize your speed substat rolls, and then throw the rest into defense. If you're really looking for a really high effective res unit, go for the effect res, right? If you're trying to stack up on the effectiveness, you're always going to use this piece on a opener, like some sort of support unit, debuffer. Yeah, throw 3 speed rolls into speed, or throw 3 rolls into speed, sorry, and then the rest of 2 rolls into effectiveness. 25% effectiveness on a 17 speed piece on an HP percent main on a perfect set is nothing to laugh at. It's a fantastic piece, right? So again, I don't want to overload you guys with decision fatigue or anything. When in doubt, go speed set, maximize speed, maximize crit rate. If you're not going a DPS build, maximize defense for maximum bulk. Usually effectiveness and effect res aren't too important overall. Most units nowadays only run about 100 effect res, if even that, and most units on effectiveness typically build about 85% effectiveness. For example, something that's not too important like a Bryceria, mine's about 100, right? Not too important. Even my Hellion Lua, who you guys have been seeing me use quite a bit, only about 70-something effectiveness. That's with her imprint concentration too. So without that, she would honestly be even less, 60%, right? So you can see here that effectiveness doesn't matter all too much. A lot of units have soul burns as well, right? ML Politis, soul burns to ignore effect res. Hellion Lua, soul burns to ignore effect res. Briarwitch ignores effect res. New Moon Luna, for example, ignores effect res. I didn't even bother putting effectiveness on her here. And same thing with so many other units out there. Right, so again, hopefully this video has helped you guys kind of see what to go for, especially the example pieces of things I've redeemed from this event in the past. It's a fantastic event. Please don't miss out. Happy gearing, and let me know what you guys are going for in the comments down below. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.